Hey guys, it's Jackie Jacobson from Malibu Rescue, and you're listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Jackie, welcome to the cave.
Thank you for having me.
How are you? What's new with you?
I'm good. As of right now, I'm just enjoying summer break after graduating high school and just relaxing.
There you go. So the listeners know you from Malibu Rescue, the movie, and now this series, and we'll talk about that. But I want the listeners to get to know you a little bit better. Where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, actually.
All right. How was it growing up there?
It was great. I mean, the weather here is amazing. I lived right next to the beach, so filming there was kind of like being at home, and I got really lucky. It's kind of the heart of everything here. So there's not many people who are actors who are actually from Los Angeles, so it's funny that I'm one of the originals, I guess.
So growing up, what did you enjoy doing?
Both of my brothers actually played hockey, so I spent most of my time in a hockey rink, which is different than what most people do in LA. So I would go to their hockey games a lot. That was something I really enjoyed. Or I'd go to the beach with my friends. I'm also really into baking, and there's a lot of really cool cooking classes around LA. So that's what I like to do in my free time as much as possible.
I did read online that you eventually want to get into culinary arts also.
Yeah, I think that if I eventually have the time for it, that'd be really cool. I actually took a cooking class 2 days ago, and I love cooking and I love baking, so if time permits it, I'd love to be able to go to culinary school and find out like the real ways to do everything and not just what I find on YouTube.
Do you enjoy watching like the cooking shows like on the Food Network?
Oh, Food Network is the only channel that's ever on in my house.
So growing up, did you know you wanted to get into acting?
Yeah, being the youngest of two older boys who were, like these big athletes, I was kind of always the princess and always wanted to be the center of attention. And I would come downstairs like in the middle of dinner in like a tutu and like a feather boa and glitter and put on a show for my parents and like my family and friends. And as I got older, I would watch TV shows and I would start to memorize different scenes and what the characters would say, and I would just keep repeating it, and I would just pause a scene and then I would act it out in front of my mom, and that was kind of the only thing I ever stuck to. I kept saying that I wanted to be in TV, and my mom was like, all right, you're 4 years old, you don't know what you're talking about, like, relax. And that's the only thing I kept asking her to do, is that I wanted to be in the TV and I wanted to be an actress. And as I got older, I realized like what that meant and what I had to do to, become an actress. And I've been doing it ever since. It's the only thing that I really have a deep passion for, that I feel like I've known that I wanted to do since I was little.
So when you were growing up, was there a specific TV show or movie that really pushed you towards the acting world?
Yeah, it's funny because it was a Disney show. It was Wizards of Waverly Place.
Okay.
Alex Russo, like Selena Gomez's character, she had two brothers, and she kind of, bossed them around. And I think ever since I was little, I always thought I was way older than I was. I was like 4 years old, and I tried to act like a 16-year-old. So I took a lot of like inspiration from her, and she was super sassy and sarcastic and had these like quick one-liners, and I would just memorize them, and I'd say them around the house, and after that I was like, that's 100% what I want to do.
Now, did you start taking acting classes at a young age?
Yeah, I did. I started acting classes when I was 7,
Okay.
and I found like a little small one right by my house. And my mom was like, go ahead and try it. But in the back of her head, she's like, she's never going to stick to this. Like, she's tried dance, she's tried all these things, and she never sticks to anything. And I think I was the last kid who left the class, and I was talking to the teacher like the whole time. And eventually the teacher ended up becoming my manager, and then I kind of just went from there.
Oh, Wow. Now, do you remember, how old were you when you landed your first gig, and when was it?
I was around 10. It was Criminal Minds, and that was my first, big guest spot on anything, or my first like real job. And it was a really amazing experience that I think I'll probably remember forever. I mean, I was this little girl and I had to get murdered under a bed, and it was a crazy experience, but it was cool to see how of a well-oiled machine like TV series are, and how the crew and the cast and everybody worked together. I got to be a part of that at such a young age, and after that I was like, wow, like this is insane.
And now you recently just starred in Malibu Rescue, the movie. Did you know the movie was going to become a series also?
We actually did. When I found out I booked it, my agents told me that we booked a movie and a series. It wasn't just a pilot. It was a full-bought series already, because when we were auditioning for it, nobody really knew what it was. We were like, is this a show? Is this a movie? So after we all booked it, we found out what it really was.
Yeah. So tell us about the audition when you went in there that day.
I think I have one of the crazier audition experiences for Malibu Rescue. So I was originally actually auditioning for Lizzie, and I went in a couple times for Lizzie, and then I got a call back. And then we had a thing called the mix and match, where they pick a couple different people for each role and see who has good chemistry and stuff like that. And I was reading for Lizzie, and then the writers were like, all right, thank you, but do you think you could actually read for Dylan this time? And I was like, yeah, of course. And so I had literally 5 minutes to read this 10-page script as a brand new character, and I read Dylan, and they're like, okay, like, can you wait? Like, we're going to try to match you up with some new people now as Dylan. So I actually read with Ricardo. I read with a couple of the people, and I ended up booking it, and it kind of just clicked after I read Dylan. I could tell that I wasn't Lizzie, even though Lizzie was such a fun character. Dylan and I kind of clicked, and I felt like everyone felt that way. And so after a 4-hour mix and match, which was exhausting but so much fun, I got a call a little bit later saying that the writers want to give me, a fair shot at Dylan. So they're like, here's a couple days, prepare the same 10 pages and come in and like we're going to give you a fair shot at Dylan. And so I went in, and we did the script and everything, and then I ended up just staying in the room and talking to our writers for almost an hour. And I think that's when the writers got to know my personality, and like I started to feel more comfortable. We all started to kind of click, and everything was sort of falling into place. And a little later I found out that I was testing, and then I was signing contracts. I was like, okay, so it's like me and one other person, I should find out soon. And so a little bit later, my manager comes over, and, she's like making small talk, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, so your agents are actually missing a piece of your information for the contract. You should give them a call and, let them know so they could finish the contracts and move on with the process. So I call my agents, and my agent was like, yeah, you're not testing anymore. And in my head, like, my heart dropped. I was like on the verge of tears. I was like, I didn't get it. Like, it's over. And she's like, because you got it, like, you got the offer. And my manager ended up getting everything on video, and it was a really sweet moment that, like, I'm really happy that me and my mom are both in the video and, like, crying and screaming and laughing. So it's something cute that I'll have, like, forever.
Wow. Did you have to have, like, any requirements for, like, did you have to, like, know how to swim or CPR or anything like that?
What was funny is they probably should have asked us all of that, but no, there wasn't any, requirements that we had to have prior. All of us knew how to swim, and I definitely did not know CPR, so as everyone was learning during filming is when I learned how to do CPR. So it was cool. We had people actually show us how to do everything, so it looked authentic, but, before filming I had no idea how to do any of that.
So you played Dylan on the show. How would you describe the character?
I think the best way to describe Dylan is kind of a dorky scatterbrain. She really tries her best at everything and has a really good heart and is always looking out for other people, but she just can't really seem to compose herself and get herself together. She has like good captain material inside of her, but it takes a lot. I think it takes the entire course of the movie and into the beginning of the series for her to realize, you know, her true strength and the fact that she is a captain and a leader. And it takes a little bit for her pod to start to, you know, respect her in a way. So the whole movie to the series is kind of, you know, this character arc of her becoming this leader and finding her voice and her leadership and her growing within herself. And I think that happens with all the characters, but I mean, especially Dylan and how she becomes this leader that they need.
Okay. So how did you prepare for the role of Dylan, and what kind of research did you do?
I did a couple readings on lifeguards. I thought that was the main thing. I know Dylan knows what she's talking about. She just doesn't know how to convey it. So I wanted to make it seem like I knew what I was talking about. So I found out a lot of information on lifeguards and what they need to do to actually become, you know, a main lifeguard position in Malibu and in different states and stuff like that. Also, the most important thing that we got really lucky with was the chemistry of the cast. I think the fact that Dylan is always looking out for her team and has a really good relationship with all of them was really important to naturally convey on screen. So we all made plans to hang out, and that's kind of an untraditional way of doing research, but getting to know everybody was really helpful in filming because it made us seem really natural and gel really well together, and it kind of created this natural chemistry that helped us film.
Yeah. Now, if Dylan was a real person, would you be friends with her?
I used to say that I was never like Dylan, that Dylan is so weird and she's so awkward and dorky and such a loser. And as filming went on, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm Dylan. Like, this is me. Like, I'm as dorky and as weird as she is. And so I think if Dylan was a real person, I'd for sure be friends with her. But, you know, it's one of those things where you can't judge a book by its cover, because I think Dylan and I are really similar in a lot of ways that I didn't realize at first.
Yeah. So how is it working with the rest of the cast, and describe the chemistry between you guys?
I mean, like I said, it was so natural and right off the bat that when you're working with an ensemble cast, it's really a 50-50 shot if you guys are gonna like each other or not. Like, you never really know. It's kind of hit or miss. And right when we met on the first day, we were like, whoa, like, we actually like each other. Like, this never happens. And so every day after that, we would work, 16-hour days together and then want to hang out and, like, get dinner after. Or on the weekends, we'd be separated for a day and we'd want to hang out and do something fun. So we all really became best friends, and it helped the movie, it helped the series, it helped our chemistry on and off screen as well. Like, we created so many inside jokes and memories, and it was really just a lot of fun on set. It never felt like work because you were working with all of your best friends.
That's great. Now, do you have any funny moments behind the scenes that's happened on the set that you can share?
Yeah, I think a lot of the really funny scenes that happened were a lot of me being clumsy. So there's one scene where Vooch, our bus driver, is driving us to Tyler's school, and the stunt guy was like, all right, we have to hit a really hard stop, so everyone hold on to the seat in front of you. And all of us in the bus were like, yeah, like, whatever, like, we're not going to actually hold on. And he hits the brake, and I go flying through the bus, and I land right on my butt, and I'm on the verge of tears, but we have to keep going, and everyone is laughing so hard. But we only had like 5 or 10 minutes to finish filming the scene, so we're all trying to pull it together, but we're all laughing so hard. I'm like crying in pain. And when we finally saw the movie, we're like, it doesn't look like any of that happened. Like, we don't know how we pulled that off, but we were laughing and crying about it for at least a week after.
Yeah. What's been more fun, filming the movie or filming the series?
I think the series was more fun to film only because there was so much more action and adventure and so many different things that happened with each character during the series. The movie was a lot of fun and it was a good bonding experience, but once we came back for the series, it was like, hanging from a cliff and then running in slow motion on the beach. Like, there were so many things that we were waiting to do when we filmed the movie that we finally got to do on the series that we were all so excited to do.
Has Netflix said anything about a season 2?
That's something we can't talk about yet, but once we are allowed to, we'll make sure we let everyone know.
Yeah. So, in the acting world, like, who are like some of your influences that you look up to?
Robin Williams is one of my biggest inspirations. He is so good at comedy and drama. He was amazing at character development, and I've seen so many documentaries on how he prepared for roles and how he was incredible at, making you cry or making you laugh. And he was so creative and driven and had so many little quirks that made him who he was that he conveyed on screen. And he's definitely one of my biggest inspirations and still is. And watching documentaries on him and stuff like that is so interesting and fascinating.
What's your favorite movie of Robin Williams?
Good Will Hunting. That's my favorite movie of all time. I will laugh every time. I will cry every time. It is so, so good.
That's great. It is a great movie, yeah. So, how do you try to improve your acting skills every day?
I still go to acting classes. I've been going to the same acting class for almost 6 years now. It's once a week. I try to do as much research. I try to find acting books. I like to watch behind-the-scenes videos of actors on how they prepare for roles and stuff like that, just on YouTube. It's so interesting to see everyone else's techniques on how they prepare and how it differs or what similarities you guys both have. So doing everyday little research here and there is so interesting.
Do you have like a dream role that you want to play someday?
Yes. My biggest dream is to eventually play like a female James Bond, like an Atomic Blonde kind of thing. I'm actually Russian, and my parents are from Russia, and usually like there's Russian spies who have to learn how to speak Russian for the film. So I think it'd be really cool for me and my family to be able to play this really cool, badass girl spy and actually be able to speak Russian.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do you enjoy action movies?
Yeah, my dad watches, I think, James Bond and Bourne every single day, so they're on downstairs all the time, so I've kind of been forced to watch them, but yeah. I found a liking towards them. It's a lot of adrenaline and really high stakes, and I think that's so fun to watch.
Where do you see yourself like 10, 20 years from now?
Hopefully doing huge movies, Oscar-nominated movies, working with incredible actors who I look up to now. That's definitely my goal, to be able to do all the kinds of movies that I hope to be able to do one day, or my dreams is what I want to achieve in 10 years. By 10 years, I want to have my female action movie done. I want to have my really good, like, dramatic movie like Good Will Hunting done. There's so many little types of movies that I want to do that hopefully by 10 years I have those all done.
That's great. What is one fun fact about you that you want the listeners to know?
I eat sushi every day, almost to the point where I've gotten mercury poisoning, but that hasn't stopped me. So a lot of the things on my Instagram are people always like commenting to me that, I eat so much and what am I eating today and what am I going to eat tomorrow. So it's kind of become a little like thing I have with all my followers about, my eating, because I eat so much and I love to share my food. And because I do have a love for food and want to go to culinary school, I'm such a big foodie.
That's awesome. Do you have any other upcoming projects that you can share with the listeners?
As of right now, there's nothing, again, I can talk about, but okay. Once I get that green light, I'd love to be able to share it with you guys.
All right. And lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
So I'm only on Instagram, and it's Jackie R. Jacobson, just my name. And I'm on Instagram, and that's how you guys can find me.
All right, Jackie, thank you. This was fun.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
I was the one to judge. You said you've had enough and that you really wanna be with me. What you get is more than what you see. At first you struck me like any other girl that I could find. But when you looked me in the eyes, I knew that this was right. You're a pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind. said you've had enough and that you really wanna be with me. What you get is more than what you see. At first you struck me like any other girl that I could find. But when you looked me in the eyes, I knew that this was right. You're a pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind, and there's more than meets the eye. Pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind, and there's more than meets the eye. With you, with you, with you, oh, with you, with you, with you. Oh, I'm glad that I found you, and that you will stick around too. Show me who you are. Now we come so far. I can't be without you, and I know I never have to. Show me who you are. Now we come so far. You're a pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind, and there's more than meets the eye. Pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same.